Hi friends, welcome to the Plain Fun RC channel. I'm your host Saul. We are going to be doing an unboxing of the Don Smith Plans B-17. I'm going to be building this on behalf of a friend who was kind enough to go through and make the Volksplane, cowling, and hatchback. And he's been wanting to build a B-17 his entire life, so in exchange for his wonderful work that he did, we are going to be, I'm going to be building his B-17. Hopefully it might even wind up in one of the museums. We'll see what happens. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and start with this right here. So right off the bat, one of the first things that he did is he found that there's a company called Wingspan Models. And Wingspan Models makes a really nice 138-inch span B-17 and a 207-inch B-17. I'll make sure the link is in the description. But it turns out that many of the fiberglass parts for the 138-inch span Wingspan Models version of their B-17 also goes with the Don Smith Plans B-17. For those that don't know, Don Smith designed a lot of warbirds in the 90s and well into the early 2000s. And there's a plethora of warbirds that he did design, and there's even a couple folks that sell the plans and the kits for those planes themselves. And I'll make sure to include that in the description as well. So let's start with what we have here. What we're looking at right now is we're looking at the we're looking at some of the fiberglass parts. This looks like a turret right here, as you can see. Let me bring this up to the camera a little bit. Looks like a turret, from what I can tell, that goes probably on the top somewhere. Some type of gun turret, and we'll figure that out once we go along. We have a gun turret here. It looks like we also have a possibly what looks like a rear piece on the fuselage, fiberglass piece of some kind. And then we also have the what will become the hatch itself. Very detailed piece, as you can see. Let me turn on the side. You can see right here we've got really nice window detail, and we would have a spot up here which the turret would go. I'm pretty sure the turret fits up here like so, possibly, but I'm not sure. We'll have to take a look. This is, like I said, this is something very new to me, and this will be a first time building a B-17. But the detail is really great. As we move along, you can see some of the other detail that's here. And the fiberglass is fantastic, very nicely made. Kind of a heavy fiberglass, but nicely done. And then, of course, we've got a fantastic looking, great front windshield there, you can see as well. So really nice. All right, let's set this aside. Now, Wingspan Models also has a fantastic bomb release. And I think you could do up to like 20 bombs or something like that, some crazy amount. So you've got the Wingspan Models electronic release system, and that's this right here, as you can see. And gives you the ability to go ahead and to do multiple bombs at the same time, if need be. And we'll be installing it. Looks like you do up to 6 bombs. I'm seeing 6 bombs here, actually. And you can do it sequential. You can even set the mode either one at a time, 3 at a time, sequential, simultaneous, or even servo enabled as well. So let's go ahead and look at the bombs here. We've got some bombs, a couple bombs, just so they're orange for ease of visibility, as you can see. And they do come split. I guess you could probably put a little powder in there or something like that if you wanted to on the inside, if need be. And he ordered just 2 for right now. Just 2 bombs. Now, what we also have too, in addition to the bombs themselves and the bomb halves, what we also have is the release mechanisms that are here, and these are servoless. These are servoless, as you can tell, meaning you don't need a servo to actually release them. It's all one piece. The bombs themselves would actually lock into here, into these slots you see here. And then, of course, you got your servo lead that would go to the bomb release mechanism, as you can see right there. Very nicely made. Very nicely made. And we've got 2 of these. Or it looks like, I'm seeing 1. Oh, there's the second one. Yeah, we got a second one right here. So very nice. Very nice. All right, so that takes care of the fiberglass and our bombs. Let's go ahead and dive into the actual kit itself. We're just going to do a quick overview of the actual kit, just to give you a rough idea. Now, I do know that Precision Cut Kits in America, they sell the plans and the kits. And then you also have in England, overseas, Bel Air kits. Bel Air has a lot of different kits, and they do also, they cut, custom cut kits as well as those that are plan designed. So you can look into Bel Air kits, and I'll make sure that that link is also in the description as well. So he decided to go ahead and go with Bel Air kits. You know, not sure why, but I've had a kit, a Don Smith Plans kit cut from them as well. They do a beautiful job. It does take them a little bit. You got to be patient because they cut on order. And when you have these really large kits, these giant scale kits, it's going to take a while for them to actually cut the kit itself. So we've got our box here. Let's go ahead and open it up, take a look and see what we've got inside and just check out the overall quality. I anticipate this build is probably going to take about a year minimum. 6 months definitely, but I'm erring on the side of at least a year because it's going to be a very involved. Now, I won't be finishing it. I'll be going through and just getting it all sheeted and everything, and he is going to do the fiberglassing because he wants to do it in a very scale, weathered fashion, really to get it to a museum quality. And my friend, his name is Mark. Mark does very, very nice stuff. Like I said, he did the cowling for the Volksplane. The quality of his work, his fiberglassing is just really amazing. Really something. All right, so right off the bat, I've got one word for you just initially with what we're seeing here, and the word is wow. The word is wow, ladies and gentlemen. Let me see if I can zoom in just a little bit, give you a little bit of a better view of what we're seeing here. Let me slide this up a little bit. Let's zoom in just a little tighter. Right off the bat, the word is wow. I mean, it really just looks like a very, very, very high quality kit in terms of how it's cut. And so kudos to Bel Air for their tremendous quality. You know, what you're looking for in a laser cut kit, right off the bat, it should look very, very clean in terms of the cut. It should look undamaged. And those are the two key things that you're looking for. And everything just on initial observation should be symmetrical to some degree. And that's what we've got here. We've got some really nice looking, very symmetrical parts, as you can see here on the video here. We've got our ribs right here, nice pack of ribs that are very well made, okay? Very nicely made. Oop, here we go. And just nicely cut. And then we're going to go ahead and set these aside. We've got even some more ribs here, larger ribs. And they are also really nicely made, very well cut. As you can see, got a hole here, probably for the wing tube for the plane itself. Let me zoom back just a little bit so you folks can see. Whoops, sorry about that. So you can see a little bit more of what we have here. Anyway, we've got some ribs very nicely cut, as you can see there. So they look fantastic, very symmetrical. We're also looking in here, you know, these are the slots. The slots you see right here, this is where your spars are going. Are those cuts clean? You know, are we seeing a lot of excess there? You know, as it cuts so thin where it's going to crack in these thinner areas. And that's not the case at all. These are just very nicely made. All right, let's set those aside. We've got some even larger ribs. I suspect because of the size of these ribs, these are probably some of the center ribs. Judging by the overall size, as you can see, they're very big in relation to my hand. You can see just how big those ribs are. They're very, very large. And they look great. All right, set that aside. We've got some fuselage formers here, more than likely. And they're all nicely taped together, which is really nice. Really, really nice. That's a bonus. That just makes things that much easier. You're not having to hunt and peck and look for the different parts. And right off the bat, initial impression, clean cut, very symmetrical. This is going to be a joy. The nice thing about laser cutting, folks, and I've been doing this since I was 7 years old, so I'm 53 now. The nice thing about laser cutting compared to die cutting used to be just the shape of the part, and they would literally just punch it out, and it wouldn't always come out clean. But laser cutting is just perfect. I mean, everything that they build from balsa and ply nowadays, your arcs, your ready to fly, that are made of balsa and ply, you know, they're all laser cut because it really just gives a much nicer finish. Some more fuselage formers, as you can see here, also nicely done. Very nice. Let's set those aside. More ribs. Lots of ribs right here. Probably for the other wing half. Probably a mix. I suspect it might even be a mix of the wing ribs and maybe even the stabilizer ribs as well, the horizontal stabilizer. And the nice thing is that if you can see right here, let me get real close, super close. A good laser cutter will label the ribs, and that's really helpful. As you can see, there's just a number 22, which is really great. So we'll have to go through each one, see if they're actually labeled. And I am seeing the labeling. Initially, yes, I'm seeing other ribs here that are also labeled. Just a quick glance at some of the ones I just set aside. Some other parts here. More than likely, this is probably for the fuselage. Now, if you have these really small parts that are laser cut, one of the nice things that they'll do, they'll so that they don't crack or break, a good kit manufacturer, good kit cutter will put them into some type of a bag or box to protect them, because these smaller pieces can always easily crack, and that's nicely packaged. Very nicely packaged. All right, looks like we got a few other formers of some kind here. As you can see, very nicely done. And then let's see, some other laser cut parts. Not sure what they are at this present time. Oh, let me see. What do we say? Laminate for 3/8 inch laminate for strength. So we've got a couple laminates here, laser cut laminates for strength. We'll figure out what those are once we look at the plans. Now, I will tell you, this is what we call a short kit, meaning it doesn't include the stringers or anything like that. You really have to go through the plans on something like this and find out what you need to finish the kit in terms of the stringers. Usually it's 1/8 inch square majority of the time, and then others as well. So just keep that in mind. There are some kit manufacturers that when they cut a kit, they will include everything you need, but that's not always the case. And this, so for your short kits, usually that you're just going to get just the major pieces. Other laser cut parts, not sure what they are, but once again, cleanly cut. We're just going to take these out for right now. We'll set these aside for the time being. Now, what I'm seeing here now is I'm seeing a sheet of smaller ribs. Let me zoom in just a second. So you'll see the sheet of smaller ribs right here. Let me zoom in, give you something a little tighter, if I may. And these, more than likely, looking at their general appearance, are probably for the horizontal stabilizer. Just a general overall appearance, but once again, very cleanly cut. You know, you could tell when a kit is cut well because the pieces just fall out of the actual sheet, which is really nice. It means that they're going to come out clean, not broken. There's another sheet here. Looks like some of the pieces have already come out of this one, and that's fine. Not a big deal. And, of course, we see another sheet, which looks like possible ribs of some kind for the stabilizer. So, or stabilizer, excuse me. Spent too much time with that Volksplane. All the parts are labeled. Once again, if you look very carefully here, trying not to drop them here. There we go. If you look very carefully at the ribs, I'll get as close as I can. You'll see a little, it looks like a dot, but it's actually a number. So they are pre-numbered. You can see it right there on that rib that we've got on the screen, which once again is very nice. So all the ribs, everything here is numbered. That's a real plus. Very nice. So a couple sheets, a couple sheets there that are numbered underneath this one. I'm not going to go ahead and show you those because the parts are just barely staying in, which is great. That's what we want. Okay, we've got a couple other things here, a few other parts for the plane. Whoops, and they're just coming right out, but that's okay. Also nicely done. Now, we're getting down to some of the nitty-gritty stuff, some of the important stuff. This is our spar. This is our spar right here, folks. Let me go ahead and show you that. This is our spar, nicely cut, very strong. It's about an 1/8 inch piece of ply, definitely for the center section of the wing because of its shape. So very nicely done. All right, let's set that aside for a moment. And let me move this just for a second. It's about ready to fall back in. There we go. A little bit more stable. Okay, what we also have here, and we've got a lot of plywood pieces. The plywood pieces, these are going to be supporting pieces You know, we've got some, they've labeled this one as the rib. You can see that there. Let me get real close to the camera. You can see how we've got a label right there. So these plywood pieces, they're going to be supporting pieces, you know, largely in the center structure. So I'm seeing a lot of rib pieces, things like that. Very nicely cut as well. Very nicely done. So we've got a lot of plywood pieces here, all well cut. Now what we've got here, I know exactly what these are. Let me set this aside for 1 second. What we've got here, let me zoom back just a moment. Whoops. Just a moment. There we go. That's better. So what we have here are the wing saddles. These are going to be the wing saddles. So these are actually going to be attached to the fuselage, and they're going to hold the wing in place. And more than likely, where my finger is here, that's that's the top, and where my thumb is, that's where the wing is going to sit. Okay, so you have two of these, and they'll go on both sides of the fuselage. Very good. Also well cut. Nothing broken, which I really like a lot. Nothing is broken. A couple other pieces as well. We got some plywood pieces here. Looks like this is also a spar. You can tell by the general shape. This is probably one of the spars there. Maybe a doubler or something like that. Anyway, we've got a couple other pieces. A few more things here on the right side of the box. We've got, these are plywood as well. I suspect, yeah, I know exactly what these are. Okay, so these are going to be for the actual nacelles, or the, not the nacelles, excuse me, where the engines are going to be mounted. And the way you can tell is, first of all, they're plywood, and you can see that they're round. So you can see the shape here. This is where an engine box is going to wind up coming out of, so you can bolt your motor to the actual engine box itself. And also very nicely done. So we got a couple of these, couple different shapes that go along with that. Quite a few, actually. Yep, we've got quite a few. So you can see them here. These are all for the areas where the engines will be located. All plywood and all very nicely cut. Very nicely cut. And just great. This is a great kit, folks. This is a really great kit. This will be the first 4-engine aircraft I have actually built. So this will be great. I've done twins. I have not done 4, and I'm excited to do this because one of the kits that I have in the queue that we'll be building on the channel is actually probably one of the largest RC aircraft around, and that is the Tu-95 Bear with over a 200-inch wingspan. It's massive. It's absolutely huge. It's and it will use counter-rotating motors. Okay, so that's the wood. We're going to grab the plans real quick. Let me put everything back in the box, and we'll grab the plans. We'll take a quick glance at the plans. All right, friends, let's go ahead and open up our plans and get that going. Now, there's no instructions. This is, you know, when you build a plan-built kit, you are, you know, you really need to have a bunch of kits under your belt. I mean, maybe 3 or 4. You know, I mean, if you're a natural builder, then you shouldn't have too much problem with it. But it's a good idea to make sure you have a lot of experience with building because, you know, it needs to be almost instinctual when you're building something from plans. You know, everybody wants to get into the warbirds and things of that nature, but it's a good idea to make sure you have a good understanding because you want a good understanding of how to build because you want it to go well. Okay, now these plans are massive. I'm going to go ahead and try to get them in the best I can. Let me zoom back. You're not going to be able to see it all, but just a general overview, just to give you an idea of what we're dealing with in terms of the plans. So it is, by the way, 138-inch wingspan, 98.4-inch length is what we're looking at here. You'll notice that with the building table here, it's actually metal. I like building on metal with magnets. I have tried other things such as ceiling tile and pins, but you know, the nice thing about building with magnets is that they don't damage the wood, and that's a big plus. All right, let's see if we can roll this out. Right off the bat, what we're seeing here, we are seeing the rudder itself. Very large rudder. Very large. This is the rudder in here. Let me go a little further. Very large. That's a very, very, very large rudder, folks. Gigantic. Let me scoot this over just a little bit more here. We have got a extremely large rudder. You can see all in here. Nicely laid out. Very good detail in terms of what the different pieces are and things like that. Now, you'll notice with the plans, right up in here, this is the top section of the fuselage, so it's not uncommon that when you have a plane of this size, you'll have the top section of the fuselage, only half of it. You have to go ahead and put and tape the other half together. So when we start building the fuselage, we'll actually build over the top. We're looking at the fuselage as well. Retractable rear. Let me scoop this up. Sorry. Retractable tail wheel back in here. You can see that there as well. All right, let's keep taking a look here as we unravel. We're seeing more of the fuselage now. Seeing a side view here of the vertical, or top view of the vertical fin and the rudder section. They do give you a very scale-looking hinge, which is really nice. Okay, that's important. Having a nice scale hinge is always good, especially for the scale guys. Let's drag this out a little further. See what we've got. So these plans are just massive. You got a plane this big, it is understandable why the plans would be that massive. My table is 8 feet, and we're almost at the limit here. All right, let's see. I don't want to miss out on anything. Anyway, we're looking at the fuselage here. Very nice detail, explaining what each is and all the wood. Now, I talked about the fact it's a short kit. So what you'll see here, let me see if I can zoom in for a moment. Kind of tight. I don't know how well it'll come through. But for those that have not plan built before, you'll notice, should be right here, that should be visible. Give it a second here. I'm just waiting for my monitor to catch up to the camera itself. But over here, you'll notice that the various pieces of wood, they are all labeled, so you know exactly what you need to get in terms of the stringers, cross braces, things of that nature for the actual plane itself. But it looks like it's an open frame. It's an open frame fuselage. For those that don't know what I mean by open frame, some builders will have a box in the center, and the formers will attach the box. But that's not the case. This is just the different formers, and then you're actually going through and putting your stringers onto the formers. So this will be really interesting. Yeah, forgive me, I'm not sure what's going on here, but anyway, that's all right. We're going to keep going here. Okay, let me zoom back. And then we're getting to the very front of the fuselage itself. And that's it. So this is the, let me come this way a little bit. So this is the front of the fuselage right here. All right, so that's the fuselage piece for the most part. We saw the rudder as well, rudder/horizontal stabilizer at the other end of the plans. Let's roll this up for a moment, and let's take a look at the remaining plans for the wing and such. All right, let's set those aside, and let's go ahead and get into our other sets of plans here. Got a very large set of plans, by the way. Very large set. Okay, let's go this way. All right, so now we are looking at the front of the aircraft. Yeah, this is the front of the aircraft here. Let me get some magnets to help hold this down so we can unravel it a little bit. So we're looking here at the portion down in here. Let's see. Yeah, portion down in here. This is for the engine pod. Then the SAL up here. This is the front of the airplane right in here, and give us an idea of what we're looking at. And stretching this out just a little further. And we'll pull it over in just a second so you can see more. Some additional. Now there's detail here for the actual nose gear as well, as you can see. And we're going to slide this over a little bit. And we're looking at the up in here, if you can see it. Let me bring it down a little bit. Up here, we're looking at the parts that make up the engine pod. Okay, these are the different parts that we saw in the laser cut box. So it's showing exactly where they're supposed to go, which is great. Roll that up. So that's really what that focus is, kind of the front view of the plane, how to construct the engine pods, and where the retracts are to be mounted. We'll be doing electric retracts in this. I just found out Robart won't be making retracts anymore, so I'm hoping they still have some retracts for this plane, because they're very good. Okay, let's continue. Let's take a look at the rest of the plans here, see what we have coming up next. Okay, so what we've got, I'm looking at it. It looks like it might be the stab itself. Let's take a look here. Let me bring this over a little bit. Yeah, I'm looking at the stab. Let me get some magnets just to hold that in place. Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing here. I'm seeing here the main stab, main stabilizer. At the top, up in here, up in this section. Yep, that's what we're looking at there. Main stab up in here. That's what these plans are for. Let me see if I can bring them down a little bit so you can see it a little clearer. There we go. Yep, that's much better. Main stab up in here. And let's see what else we've got for the plans. We've got a bunch of formers here. And these look like these are the fuselage formers here at the bottom. What we're seeing. The main stab is very simple, basic construction. Not too complicated. Yeah, this is largely for the stab itself. And these look like these are the fuselage formers. Yeah, that's what these are right here. All right, let's set that aside. And got a couple more sheets, quite a number of sheets for these plans. Very nicely done though. Very nicely done. I was looking on YouTube, and no one had ever built a Don Smith B-17 in terms of actually doing an actual build. So I thought this might be kind of interesting to do on the channel. Okay, we got another set of plans here. Let's take a look. We're getting into the wings. Yep, that's what we're looking at now. Now we're getting into the wings here. Yep. So these are the plans for the wings. That's what we're looking at right now. Once again, nicely detailed. Not a complicated airplane. When I'm just a general view of it, and just eyeing it right off the bat. Not a complicated airplane. What's really nice, and I'm seeing it here. I don't know if this is the case or not, but just a general impression. Let's see. Yeah. So let me see if I can kind of, it might be a little difficult to see. Yeah, let's do this. Let's bring this over just a little bit. Let's stretch this out a little further. Yeah, this is perfect. Okay, great. So what's really nice, if you look very carefully, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit to give you a perspective. Yeah, that's perfect right there. There we go. Okay, this line, these large boxes you see, that is the wing tube. And what's great about this plane is that if let's say you have a trailer and you don't want to remove the center section from the plane itself, you could leave the center section in place, and the outer wing panels, which is what you see here, the outer wing panels. Let me zoom back a little bit. The outer wing panels, which are over here, they come right off. They can come off. So this is the wing tube connecting the outer wing panels, and they plug in here with some 3/8 inch dowels, which is really nice. So that makes transportation that much easier, because let's be honest, folks, this is a very, very large plane. You're going to need quite a bit of space to transport it. So very good. All right, that looks good. Looks like we got one more sheet underneath. Let me go ahead and grab that additional sheet. So we're looking at the left wing here. I suspect the other one is probably for the right wing. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So the other sheet is just the sheet for the right wing. Yep, that's what that is. The sheet for the right wing. That's nice. That's really nice. A lot of kit manufacturers, they don't always include plans for left and right. You know, they just include, like, you know, the left side. And you have to remember to, when you build the right, you want to be careful not to build two lefts. Well, in this case, we don't have to worry about that. We've got a left wing, we've got a right wing, and it's really nice. And what they did, this is really kind of cool. They, it's a little hard to see, but even though these plans are upside down, they obviously just printed these plans backwards, and I'll show you what I mean. Let me see if I can zoom in super tight for 1 second. Look carefully at the writing. I know it's upside down, but here, let me spin this around 1 second here. This was a smart move. So you don't actually build two left wings. They obviously give it plans for left and right, but you can see when you look at the writing right here. Let me scoot this over a little bit. Notice how the writing is backwards. So they just took the plans and made a mirror image of it. And so that way you'd have plans for left wing, plans for a right wing. So very smart. All right, friends, that is the unboxing of the Don Smith B-17. And so tune in. We're going to have a build. Like I said, it's probably going to take anywhere from 6 months to a year to get this to the point to where we can go ahead and bring it over to my friend. Now, we are going to glass it, but I'm going to get it to the point where everything is sheeted. He's going to do the glassing because he's very good at glassing, very good at painting, has a specific idea in mind how he wants to finish the plane. So, folks, tune in. Thanks for watching, and more to come.